Good morning, guys. I hope everyone is well. It is the 4th of May. It is Monday as well, so we are fresh to the charts this week. Let's get straight into it. So before we get into the charts, understand that the content on this YouTube channel and inside my Discord is for educational and informational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in my videos or Discord should be considered financial investment or trading advice. Understand that trading involves risk and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. Any past performances discussed does not guarantee future results. You are always responsible for your own financial decisions. So, with that being said, let's get straight into the charts. Today, specifically, we're going to be looking and talking about the higher time frames. Obviously, I know that you guys know I've been away, so with me being away, we've not really covered much in regards to the chart. So I'm just going to talk about the higher time frames first, and then we can obviously, look at what can potentially happen. So starting out just quickly on the dollar, the weekly time frame. If you look from the naked eye, I just want to paint a picture here because if you look at the structure of what's going on, I want to focus on why we've had, these past few weeks of just, technical side of it, just, dumping. Now, as you can see, this supply area on the weekly is where market came back into. We filled in this imbalance that we left, took out the highs, and then we've had this strong movement away. So if we just get rid of this and you can have a look at what I've got marked out, you can see that. Let me just move this for a second. You can see that we have this weekly supply candle. You look at this weekly candle here, when market came into this area, you can see that volume slowed down a lot, and then we've had this massive dump off. So weekly has reacted from the supply. Now we drop down to the daily time frame. What can we see happen? We can see that inside that weekly supply, we had a supply area up here, a little supply area here, and this supply area here, which we have marked out, which is where the market came into. Now, market obviously came into that daily supply area here, dumped off. We were still in a bullish structure, as you guys could see. But what happened is market then obviously came up, still in that bullish structure, failed to go and create a new higher high, and then we had this massive dump off. So for me personally, it is all guns blazing for shorts within side of the dollar. Now, obviously looking at where the market's at, you can see that we do have obviously quite a lot of imbalance above. But what we want to do is we want to focus on where the market is currently at right at this moment in time. Now, we had last Thursday a very strong move away. So what I'm looking at is this fresh daily supply candle, which the market has created. You can see we had some sort of imbalances here. Market reacted from something in this area, supply area in this area, and then we've had this dump off. So for me personally, I'm looking at seeing if we can get the dollar to come into this supply and then potentially have a new daily leg broken, so a new daily structure. So for me, this is a supply area that we should 100% keep an eye on going into the rest of today and this week. Jumping into the four, you can see that market was consolidating. We're now getting that bullishness away. So, for me at this moment in time, it's about seeing if we can look for longs into this supply area and then potentially make, a decision to see if the supply area is going to stick and we get that long-term shorts. If you look at the charts, if we just quickly look at this, you can see that when market consolidates, and we get a dump off, we'll get a correction, slower market movement, and then we should get a dump off again. So are we going to get a repeat of this potentially in here where we're looking at short-term buys and then we're just going to get a big dump off like here when we get to this 4 hour supply area. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Going into Euro USD, I'm just going to quickly go to daily time frame. Sorry, the weekly time frame, because the weekly is standing out more than the daily for me. And if you look at this, you can see that if we just focus on this, we have a monthly supply candle in which the market's reacted from. So let me just quickly go to the monthly. You can see markets came up into this wick here, tapped into this monthly supply candle, and now we're getting that volume away. If you look at the weekly, you can see the structure has been bullish until obviously this area here, which we broke these lows. And now what's happening is market is basically pulled back into this weekly supply. So could this mean from a weekly perspective that this could be swinging, to create a new lower low? That is first thought that I'm looking at when I'm looking at the weekly time frame. Pretty clear weekly supply candle filled in this imbalance here. We are slowing down inside of that supply candle as well. Now the daily's not been the best, just being truthful. It's not been the best. Obviously, I've not been active on the charts when being away in America. But as you guys can see, what we've done is we've taken out this significant high here, which is my liquidity sweep. We've obviously now had, markets slowly starting to move away. So, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it's pretty corrective. So this for me is more of a liquidity sweep inside of this weekly supply candle, and then we're getting that movement down. Now, again, looking at the four, it's not been the cleanest as well. A lot of you guys have mentioned this to me personally, but you can see we was bullish and then we've been bearish. And obviously, what I am focusing more so on is what is the dollar telling me? Now, if the dollar's more cleaner than Euro USD, that means that I can obviously follow what the dollar is doing and what the dollar is telling me. So if I look at the dollar, expecting short-term bullish, and then obviously a long-term short potentially, I can obviously focus on potentially short-term bearish from here, and then maybe if we go bearish from here, we go bullish from somewhere on Euro USD. Now, 4 hour, I don't like the look of. The only thing I can really focus on is the 1 hour. Now, on the 1 hour, what I can see at this moment in time is we, of course, have this dump off at this moment in time. Now, what I'm going to focus on specifically is this Asian range at this moment. You can see that market has, failed to obviously, we haven't taken out these Asian highs. We've obviously had this dump off. What I'd be waiting for personally is to see if short-term sells we can get with Euro USD around this 1 hour supply area. At this moment in time, what's happened is it would have been a beauty of a trade. I was waiting for a more refined trade. You can see we had this candle here. We left a little bit of imbalance. So let's just replay so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. We had this candle dump off, and then we had left this little bit of imbalance, and then that would have been the supply area for the 1 hour, in which I would have looked for shorts. On a 1 hour perspective, I was looking at the 30-minute, 15-minute for more refined. So personally, I've not got or not managed to get in a trade. But as you can see, market then came above, and now it's just dumped off, tapped into that supply and dumped off. So rinse and repeat. Yes, this is a supply. That's where the imbalance started, but you can obviously mark out this 1 hour supply area here if needs be. And simple as always, we want to see if market's going to give us this. But yeah, obviously aligns with the dollar. If you look at the dollar on the one second, you can see that markets obviously we've left this low, but what we've done is when market broke out, we come back in, filled in the imbalance, tapped into this demand area here, and then 1 second, I don't know who's trying to ring me. And then market has, of course, got this bullishness away. So let me just have a quick look at the 2 hour. No, stick with the one. The one area that obviously I can focus on is we have some sort of imbalance below here. If you look at this, we have a very small imbalance here. So if the market was going to dip potentially to this 1 hour demand area, could be a possibility. Now, of course, if we look at the four, if you want to just go off the four, you can obviously mark out this 4 hour candle here. This 4 hour candle here, and then that could be the next area. So you can refine it on the one, but let's just focus on this four to see if the market comes in, and then we carry that bullishness on from here. That is what I'm specifically looking at. We've got quite a lot of imbalance to fill as well. So yeah, that aligns with this area here, because this supply that I've just marked out is aligned with the 4 hour as well. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Going into GBP USD, again, we've absolutely dumped off. I think GBP USD is a little bit more cleaner looking. Let's just focus on a daily. You can see that market has came into this daily supply here, filled in the rest of this imbalance, We are obviously still bullish. You can see that is a bullish structure. We are coming into that daily demand, but we have reacted from this daily supply area here. Now, of course, if this daily supply area sticks, we would need to see the daily break this low, and then we can obviously look for long-term shorts. But as of right now, with GBP USD, we're going to see if this daily demand area sticks, and if it is, it'll be the next area to go and create that new daily higher high, breaking this higher high here. So keep an eye out on this area, of course. And then inside that demand area, what I've personally got is you obviously have this 4 hour demand area below. In fact, let's just look at the one for 1 second. You can see that we have this 1 hour demand area here. And then obviously we have this 4 hour demand area. So, ideally, are we going to see bullishness carry on? Would that align with the dollar at the moment? Not quite, because we're not in this supply. Yes, we are in this level of supply here. Where's it gone? This level of supply here. But for me personally, I would prefer to see, of course, this 4 hour supply area met rather than this one. But this does align, for instance, with this one. This one below aligns with this one up here. And it's probably the same with Euro USD. We have this 1 hour demand area here, which we are currently in. But for me personally, I would want to see, the lower levels where this imbalance is around this area here to basically look for the longs if we do go bullish. But yeah, let's keep an eye out on that, of course. But as you can see, either from here or from here is where I'm looking out for with GBP USD. Looking at what's happened during Asian, if we just quickly go to the 4 hour, you can see that, of course, we had this candle here, and what I was waiting for, which could still potentially happen, was this 4 hour supply area. So all morning I have been waiting to see this happen, but we didn't quite get it. We just replay up to here. When we had this candle broke, I was waiting to see if market would be nice and pull back into the supply and then look for the shorts. But as you guys can see, market hasn't came back and we've just dumped off from here. So yeah, that is still a valid 4 hour supply area that I'm going to keep an eye on. If you look at where market's reacted from this daily supply, we've broke below, we've come back, tapped into this supply candle here, and then dumped again. So that is the areas I'm keeping an eye on with GBP USD. Now looking at NZUSD, which has been disgusting. You can see, look at this for daily time frames, absolutely disgusting. A lot of wicks, of course, up in this area. We are in this daily supply, but just being truthful, it is a horrible, horrible, horrible pair at this moment in time to look at. So for me personally, unless you're analyzing the dollar, and then if the dollar's going bearish, for instance, you're obviously going to go bullish on NU and vice versa. I'm not interested at this moment in time in trading this currently. Um, that's just me personally. AUD USD a little bit more nicer. Maybe look at the daily time frame. 1 second. Look at the daily time frame. Of course, not the best, but you can see it will be consolidating. We had this bullish reaction. But if you look at the 4, we can see a little bit different. A little bit different. And what I've been looking to see the market do is, can the market potentially get into around these areas here? Ooh, around this area here as a forward demand. And then see if we can go bullish. That would align with, sorry, would it align? US, where am I on? AUD. Yeah, that would align with the dollar, because if we can get the dollar up into the supply, that would align with, potentially getting into this forward demand area here. Now, from a 1 hour perspective, you can see that market has this area was why I was waiting to see if we reacted from or broke. Of course, looking at the dollar and what we expected, dollar being bullish, I was not interested in, bullish from this demand area. But as you guys know, we do always stick with marking out where demand and supply areas are. Now, I'm just going to quickly go to the 4. Still a little bit of a gap here. What I'd be expecting with AUD USD is Well, if we can get a bearish reaction, we would have this as a 1 hour supply. Or if we dip above this, taking it as a high, we have, pretty much this level of 1 hour supply area here. So if we can, catch some shorts, I would ideally looking at this or this, depending on where the dollar is at. If we can get dollar to, carry on bullish, then yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. And if I just quickly go to the four again. Yeah, let's keep an eye. Let's keep an eye on that. But yeah, let's see what happens with that. They're the two areas I'm looking for, and then seeing how it reacts on that 4 hour demand. USD card has missed my entry this morning, which I was gutted about. I'll just quickly cover why. But as you guys can see, if you look, we are in this demand area and why we're getting this bullishness, but we're also have a new fresh supply area as well. Let me just get rid of this. We have this supply area which also aligns with this supply area on the dollar. So USD CAD, I'm looking to see what happens inside this supply and where the dollar is at that moment in time. Coming into the four, obviously we have 4 hour consolidation, 4 hour supply area, but let's just focus on this bullishness right now. If you look at the one, I was waiting this morning to see a pullback into this demand area. We had this bullishness. I waited to pull back into here, filling this imbalance, and then catch that move. We haven't quite had that. This is still a valid demand area that we could come into, but also understand that we now have this as a demand area. So same as AUD USD, but on the opposite side, what I'd be waiting for is either this or the one below and using this area as liquidity. So if we dip below this demand coming into here is to fill in this imbalance, take out this low, and then obviously get the reaction. So either of these two areas are what I'm going to be keeping my eye on going into today with USD CAD. USD CHF is quite similar. If we just go quickly to the daily, you can see that we have market reacting at this daily demand area. We also have this daily supply candle here as well, which is pretty much the same as USD CAD. Going into the four, you can see we have 4 hour supply areas up here. So areas that we can come into. We also have a lot of imbalance that we can come and refill. Of course, now again, looking at the 1 hour, what I was waiting for this morning is pretty much the same. We had a little bit of imbalance here, so I was waiting to see the market dip in, lower than this and then get a bullish reaction. We didn't quite get that. We had a little dip and now this market reacting. Sorry, this market now go bullish. I am going to change this area to this, and it's probably going to align with the four. Well, let's do the four just to keep an eye on. So this would be one area, would be this 4 hour demand. But if we don't get that 4 hour demand, I'm going to keep my eye on this 1 hour demand area here. The start of the imbalance is there. So either way, if the dollar's going to carry on bullish, then what I'm expecting is this to carry on bullish. So I'll be looking at either these two areas to carry this bullishness on with USD CHF. So yeah, let's see. At least there's some volume coming into the markets, which is a positive. It is a bank holiday over in today. So yeah, obviously, of course, what we can do is just sit on our hands a lot of the times. But when it does present itself, when volume does come into the markets, we make a decision. USD Japanese yen, I'm not interested in because it's been consolidated. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about USD Japanese yen until we get some sort of significant break above either these highs or these lows. But yeah, man, other than that, that is your daily market outlook for today. I am glad to be back with you guys. I'm glad to be back active inside of Discord. And yeah, man, let's get back to it. Take care and God bless.